those things have been captured. So what it just becomes is those who have not yet done biometrics or who don't have phones will be able to go and do the right thing and get every Nigerian in a position to participate in the elections. I'm really glad, seeing this as the first story really made me happy this morning that we have something good to talk about. In terms of the time, they're looking at the fact that they will kick off soon, so that they could put all the logistics in place, and they're looking at a space of 1 year. So even if they kick off June this year, or by the beginning of the third quarter, then by the end of the second quarter of 2022, we should have at least 20 million Nigerians fully registered and ready to participate in the 2023 elections.
Awesome. That sounds quite reassuring, Uade. Thank you for that. Let's go through to the next story. Orji, PTF, the Presidential Task Force, raised a few concerns, but the first thing they observed was, first off, also noted that scientists have been able to design 2 vaccines. To have, according to them, is most promising, and they are awaiting certification, the usual process that the World Health Organization will take you through. But the other thing, the concern they raised, was what they termed racketeering of the AstraZeneca vaccines at the locations, the vaccination locations or vaccination centers. What are your thoughts, please? Uade, could you weigh in on this as Orji rejoins us? Orji,
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Go ahead. I lost your feed for a second. Go ahead, please.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, so last week when we talked about these vaccines, I had said 2 things. One is that as far as we Nigerians are concerned, I haven't gone for one myself, but so far we haven't seen adverse reactions. So I had no problem whatsoever encouraging Nigerians to go out and get those vaccines. And I'm glad that a week after, that hasn't changed. In fact, everything now suggests that the AstraZeneca is not as bad as the Europeans were making it appear. So that's on one hand. The other thing I had said last week was that it doesn't speak well of us in Nigeria that in the midst of all of these things, despite how bad we were with testing, we cannot boast of locally made vaccines. We've not even paid for one ourselves. We had to rely on COVAX to supply us 3 or 4 million doses. Now MTN has given us an additional 300,000 vaccines. So it's a good thing that we have Nigerian scientists who have now designed, as they say. My only issue there is I don't understand what they mean by at least 2 vaccines. We are never explicit. We are never categorical in things like this. And I don't know why. I don't understand how by this time we are suggesting that you don't know the number, because I don't know what at least 2 means. If you talk about things that are 10,000 to 20,000, you can say approximately 20,000 or something like that. But at least
but what you're referring to are the number of vials, right? If you say 2 vaccines, let's assume that the Oxford AstraZeneca strain, or rather the type, is 1, and then the Pfizer one is another 2.
Okay.
So could we, by that inference, assume that what they're referring to is 2 different types of vaccines?
No, that's what I say. No, that's my point. I understand it to be 2 different ones, but what I don't understand is at least 2 vaccines have been submitted. Yeah. Particularly because for him to have made this announcement, they must have got to a particular level. It says just awaiting clinical trials and certification.
Yes.
That's at least 2 local vaccines. It should be 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, not at least 2. That, I repeat, I don't understand what they mean by at least 2. However, some have been submitted and are awaiting certification. My only point to add is, I hope that these vaccines are not to be, I hope certification is not to be at the, or the clinical trials and everything be at Nigerian standard. I'm sorry to say so, because this is an international ailment. This is an international pandemic. We are receiving doses of vaccines from other countries. We also expect that vaccines produced in Nigeria will also be measured at the same international standards, so that people are in a position to say, I want Oxford AstraZeneca, or I want that locally produced. The standard must be such that it should also be tested in the same way that NAFDAC also certified. You know that after we received those vaccines, NAFDAC also came out to tell us that those vaccines were.
Yes. So what it is Orji, as far as I understand, all vaccines, regardless of where they're produced, are subjected to screening and certification exercises by the World Health Organization, right?
Exactly.
Because the fact that that it's produced in Nigeria does not exclude it from being purchased or requested from other countries, other clients.
Certainly.
So,
yeah. I agree. That's
and even
even
NAFDAC verifies any drug that has been tested and certified around the world, just to find out if it's suitable for this climate or the people here.
Oh, well, we're saying the same thing. I just want that when we say, I hope it's not just NAFDAC, but it's also something to the World Health Organization. That's what I mean by, I hope that these vaccines also get tested and certified at the international level. Of course, that would mean by the World Health Organization, so that we can proudly say that we, as a country, contributed to the fight against COVID-19.
On a personal note, I got my first dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, COVID vaccine, yesterday, myself and my wife. And the only side effects I experienced, or I still feel, is just the little numb pain that you get when anybody injects, or rather pierces your hand with a needle or anything like that. So it's just, that's one. Actually, that's not the only one I experienced. Last night, I had a slight fever, but that has passed. Now, I'm fine. So for those who have been carrying the rumors of, ridiculous rumors have been spread around, I'm not going to give notes to any one of them, but that's really the case when it comes to Oxford.
So just to add on the issue of the racketeering, it appears Lagos State has now, or the federal government has also now walked back a bit, because at first they had released the phases in which those vaccines would be done, but I don't think it was followed in the first week. But I understand that from Monday, it will only go to those frontline health workers, those category of persons that we're going to get first.
Who are most exposed, yes.
Yeah.
At the center I got mine yesterday on Miracle in VI, they were very specific about that. I mean, they were requiring every single individual to present a valid ID card, a staff ID, just to show and verify that you work where you say you work. So they admitted medical frontline workers, the doctors especially, nurses, teachers, those in the education sector, especially teachers, admitted those police, admitted press, myself. So I think I was the only press person there. But everybody else, that fall under those categories, every other person that was admitted without those precise requirements or those job certifications were those above 70, from 70 plus. You know, they granted them direct access, and that is supposed to end tomorrow. The exercise for that category, and then from tomorrow onwards, they go further to other categories, and then including those under 70 years of age. Well, thank you for that, Orji. Let's go to the next story quickly. But quick look at the messages, because we have messages coming in on WhatsApp, 0809 444 0981. This is Freshly Pressed 981. I have Orji and Uade as an analyst on the show. You can send yours to WhatsApp 0809 444 0981. Kingsley from Isola says, reality is nothing, perception is everything. Tunde says, hi, Smooth FM. For me, it's not about registering voters, but in making it easy to cast ballots. INEC should make it easy for Nigerians to be able to vote from wherever they are in the country. That will improve voter turnout. Emeka Nelum says, from Amor, I don't think this INEC online registration is something we should rejoice about. Why can't we have a process where there will be continuous voter registration, irrespective of the time? There are people who turn 18 every day and eligible to vote. A lot of people are disenfranchised because of this. The NIN can be of tremendous help. Fabian says, from Ekpe, we should face the reality and stop lying to ourselves. If we can't manufacture simple and common drugs locally, how do we intend to produce vaccines passing through clinical trials? That took developed countries with big pharmaceutical companies so long. Thank you, Fabian, for that. Joseph says, why another process of INEC registrations again? Why can't the NIN information be used to easily get the voter's card? Because it's the same details that are needed. Thank you, Joseph May from Lagos. Kenny Hetuge says, Orji Oka. Good morning, Val and Orji. We'll give you Oxford AstraZeneca Nigerian spec. Stop that guy. Yinka Bolu says, so Val, in your mind, INEC is going digital. See, as long as you're going to their office for biometrics, nothing is digital. Hook up with the NIN biometrics database. Same people that claim that they don't have server. Same folks where because I registered in First Stack, I can't vote at K2 because I have to go and queue at the office to transfer the card. People that card readers choose the card they will read. People that claimed card, okay, all right, a lot of skepticism there, Inka. Thank you. This one from Oludele Gold in Lagos says, the commencement of voters registration is a welcome idea, and I commend INEC for that. My advice to INEC is that voters registration should be an ongoing exercise because people attain the age of 18 every day. Thank you. Now, let's talk about hijab, the wearing of hijab, the religious outfit that females are required to wear in Islam, especially with the new bill that was introduced and passed second reading on the floor of the House. I'm not sure about that second reading claim, but yes, it's passed on the floor of the House. The bill is titled Religious Discrimination Prohibition Prevention Bill 2021. The Christian Association of Nigeria has a lot of concerns regarding this bill. First of all, they said, oh, so if we're going by this bill and say, oh, those who wear hijab are required to wear hijab should wear it to schools, even private schools, should we not say that those who worship Ifa should wear their traditional attire? Is that a valid claim, Uade, in your own opinion? Or what do you think of Khan's allusions?
Well, Khan's allusions have some merit in them. One thing I can say is growing up in Nigeria and seeing schools before a lot of them became public schools and when they were taken over by most of the governments, its rules and regulations are clear. For instance, if you decided to go to Ansaruddin and you were a Christian, you needed to abide by the rules and regulations of the school. So at the end of the day, these are things that my opinion, I don't think you need a law to enforce anything in a private school. Or what use is it when you are forcing people to do the things, to change the rules of their organizations, and these people are putting so much investment in them? It's the same way we've had with the pandemic in so many areas where people tell you if you don't wear a mask, you don't come in. So with this, I think, like it was said in the news, the National Assembly should focus on bills that would create economic prosperity in Nigeria, rather than looking at the same way they're trying to push this bill. Why aren't they pushing a bill that would ensure that the foreign exchange market is doing better? Why won't they push bills that would create economic value for Nigeria and create opportunities for people to go into businesses, rather than decide or want to decide for people how their rules and regulations should be in their educational institution for which huge investments have been put in? I think they should focus on more important things and better things. And at the end of the day, let the institutions decide what the rules are. If I'm going to like you said, if I'm an Ifa worshipper, you would not believe that I'm an Ifa worshipper if I wear all the cowries on my head for me to go to school. And are you going to pass a bill for that? Are you going to pass a bill for those who are not Christians or Muslims, for them to wear hijabs or wear anything that they want to?
Well, here's a question, Uade. I appreciate your thoughts on that. But some people are saying, if we're living in this country where we are expected to respect the rights of each individual, especially the rights of religion or religious association, shouldn't you allow them practice their religion in however way they deem fit? And that's one question. But does this also imply that I don't see anywhere where it's clearly stated that, oh, if you wear hijab, you shouldn't wear school uniform? Because that's one claim that was made by some members of the Christian Association of Nigeria, saying almost suggesting that they're, by wearing hijab or allowing the Muslim students to wear hijab, that they're saying that the hijab supersedes the uniform wearing or the use of school uniform.
So to the first question first, to the second question first, I don't think the hijab supersedes the uniform. The hijab, the color for the hijab must go with the uniforms of whichever school that it is, because those are the rules that will be set. In terms of the first question, I believe everybody should be able to practice his or her own religious beliefs wherever they are at any particular point in time, and that's why there are exceptions And then secondly, we should also remember that the people who fund these schools or who provide these monies for education also have a right to decide what and how what the rules should be and how the rules should apply. So everybody has a right. So who's on what side will you be? So at the end of the day, like I said, if rules and regulations have been set in an institution, then we should all abide by those rules and regulations. So if I'm a Christian and I go to a Muslim school, then I must abide by the rules and regulations of that school. Simple.
Thank you for that, Uade. Jeff here says on WhatsApp, Omason, thank you for that. He says, even secular countries allow freedom of religion, but if you want to go to a Catholic school, as an example, you obey the rules. Yinka Bulu says, solution to the hijab matter, ban everything, ban CRK, IRK, okay. All right, Yinka, thank you. So yeah, talking about this hijab issue and the religious beliefs or inclinations, a quick thoughts would go to Leah Sharibu, the Christian girl that was abducted alongside 110 girls aged between 11 and 19 years that were abducted from the Government Girls College, Science and Technical College in Dapchi on February 19th of 2018. We've come to this point where we are celebrating, or rather commemorating, anniversaries of her abduction, and she's still in captivity, right? The story breaks two things. One is that she has been confirmed to have given birth to a second child. And that report is coming a bit late because according to the details, she gave birth late last year. Sometime last month, an American pastor had offered to surrender himself in exchange for Leah Sharibu, who's been alleged to be married off to one of the Boko Haram commanders. We're still here talking about freedom of religion, rights of religious association and all that. But this girl is still held in captivity. There's been different reports, Orji, about government's efforts in getting her out. What does this story spark in your mind in terms of a thought or, certain series of thoughts?
So my thoughts are summarized by the statement of the US-Nigeria law group, who said, and I quote, until she is released, Leah remains a poster child and symbol of a failed state that cannot protect its children. It's as simple as that, okay? It cannot be heard that a country like the US, for example, will have one citizen. We know what happens when a US citizen is kidnapped in a foreign country. We know how the state brings its force to bear. We experienced it here in Nigeria when an American citizen was kidnapped in Niger Republic and then brought, I think it was Niger, but one of the neighboring countries, and then brought it to Nigeria. We know how the US forces were sent to rescue him. So Nigeria, and I agree, you can say I'm being negative, I'm criticizing a lot, but it symbolizes, it's illustrative of our impotence as a country, that we cannot secure the release of one girl from terrorists. You see, in the same way that Nigeria secured the release of all others, the government will continue to lie that they did not pay ransom, or they did not pay ransom to these terrorists or these kidnappers. Nigerians are entitled to believe or not believe that. So those who believe the government does not pay, it's fine. I do not so believe. But I know that if Nigerian government is serious about rescuing this poor girl, it's been 3 years. It is unheard of. Nigeria has failed her. Nigeria demonstrates failure and impotence as a state in being unable to rescue one girl. There is no reason why the Nigerian government should not know the location of the girl, should not at least have secured some form of channel of communication between her and her abductors and find a way to get her rescued. Until we do that, so whether we do that in 1 month time or in 10 years time, 100 years time, we have and continue to fail that poor girl and fail posterity, of course, because we will be reminded in years to come that we could not rescue one girl from captivity.
Thank you for that, Orji. On hijab and schools, there's a message here from Henry. Henry says this argument is moot. If it's a private school, then the school set the rules. If not by force, it's not by force to attend the school. Can a woman go into a mosque without covering her hair? It's questioning he lives. Terry says, good morning, Val. Sincerely, we're just troublemakers in this country and insensitive and sensational. So Leah in captivity is what we're discussing. Okay. Thank you. Terrace, thank you. Please make your messages clear. I appreciate that in advance. Chris says, in public or government schools perhaps, but insisting on wearing a hijab in a Christian school against set rules and regulations is definitely looking for trouble. Another message here from Alabode reads, the critical thing that NAFDAC screens in drugs and food is money or fee to get from the importers. So many drugs have poor efficacy. I was admitted in the hospital. I was taking drugs for about 2 weeks, no improvement, until a pharmacist friend gave me similar class of drugs. And within 2 days, I noticed an improvement. He said the earlier one might take 2 months to bring improvements. Probably, I don't know if by this single example that you've given, completely knocks NAFDAC's efforts in checking the proliferation of fake drugs. But let's go to this next story from the Vanguard newspaper. There's a report on our Papa Gridlock about an attack on the Lagos State Traffic Management team that were administering this electronic call-up system that has been instituted for 2 weeks now. They said the attack happened about 1 a.m. Uade, please, can you provide us some insights to this story?
So the attack happened about 1 a.m. Where, if this is true, they said these allegations was made that the hoodlums were being aided by policemen and some illegal truckers. Subsequently took over the roads after they have succeeded in sending the traffic team away. If that is true, then it is very, very disappointing of our security operatives in the sense that they've set out this system towards ensuring calm and I'm trying to find the right word, decongest traffic in Apapa. Doing some work in Apapa has shown me that the first week when all the trucks were moved out was fantastic. I spent 15 minutes getting to Apapa from the mainland. However, over the last couple of weeks, we've gone through hell, and that's because they're back to normal. And I totally agree with this, that some illegal truckers have decided that they're not going to follow this e-call-up. And it's amazing that we're not enforcing it, because we lose so much money on that axis. People can't get to work on time. Productivity is going to be low because people are in traffic for 3-4 hours. Last week Thursday, I was in traffic for 4 hours just to get into Apapa, and I left home at 7 o'clock, and I didn't get to the office till 11. So it's amazing. It's amazing how, if this is true, that the policemen aided these hoodlums and illegal truckers, then it is sad, really, really sad, that we have security operatives who are supposed to maintain law and order doing this. And I think the Commissioner of Police for Lagos State should look into this, and if anybody is found culpable, then he should face the music.
So we don't go 2 steps back in this effort. Thank you for that, Wade. Olatunde sent in a message on Twitter. Olatunde says, will Nigeria allow idol worshippers come to school in cowries, or the white garment churches come to school with no shoes based on their beliefs? I guess, I understand where your question is coming from. Thank you for that. Chinere from Ikeja says, a person's right to religion is not a right to violate an institution's rules and regulations. That will be a violation of another person's right to property and fruit of one's labor. Frank from Berger says, seriously, Val, why are you having this hijab discussion? A school should be made to obey simple rules like wearing a common uniform, the students rather. It says, after school hours, you can go back to your beliefs, for goodness sake. What kind of non-value adding discourse are we having like this? It's in the news, Frank, and we review newspaper headlines at this time. Frank also says, I can see the president is shocked again in one of your other news stories, another shock. Now, the first shock came on Saturday. I don't know if it came as a shock to everyone, but the Ekiti State by-elections was held, recorded violence. According to this report from this day newspaper, they said the Chief Magistrate Court sitting at Ado-Ekiti has ordered the remand of 3 suspects allegedly involved in the killings of 2 persons during that by-election in the Ekiti State Constituency 1 on Saturday. What are your thoughts on this, Orji?
It's just unfortunate that a simple election, a by-election to fill a state legislative house would have led to the death of Nigerians. Normally, when we have elections at different times, out of circle elections, we tend to concentrate efforts on them, and it's I don't know the last time we had it this bad. Yeah, we have election violence in Nigeria, but this was bad to the extent that INEC, of course, could not even proceed to conduct said election. I had to cancel it midway. They have charged him to court, which is a positive development because over time, those involved in election violence always go scot-free. Hopefully, the courts, the prosecutors, and all concerned will take this serious and then use this as a test case so that Nigerians will know that those who take part in election violence, they won't charge the person who sent you because it's you who they catch that they will charge and prosecute. Those who will have sponsored them, because I will not expect that this hoodlums or whatever you call them sponsor themselves. Whoever sponsored them will be in the person's house lounging, maybe even sleeping now, while they are now in remand, in prison custody. So I just hope that others will use it as a learning lesson, but that can only be if those who are in charge of prosecuting, if the courts take this job serious and use this as a test case and make these people scapegoats.
But should it end there, Orji? Because that thought you expressed mid-conversation is actually apt. Shouldn't an investigation sweep all those people involved into into the buckets of the basket of judgments? All those people who sponsored them, they are as culpable, if not even more culpable than those.
Yes. Of course they are, but step by step.
It says step by step.
I'm even happy that someone has. Yeah, it is. But you're right. That's what it should lead to. Those behind them, those who sponsor them, are the ones who should also, because they procured them, and procuring someone renders you liable to the same offense that the person himself committed. So whether the person that we arrested, let's start with him first. Let's not bungle this one that is easy to do. That's the person who did it himself. And then of course the issue which we want to mention is that of the amendment of the Electoral Act or the enactment of a new Electoral Act. We cannot go into 2023 with all these issues and all the problems that we face, because we've been taking back a number of years in terms of progress we had made in the electoral reforms, and it's unfortunate.
And you're right. I mean, if the Independent National Electoral Commission, for instance, is serious about quashing, if ever it's going to be quashed that soon, voter disenfranchisement, this is one of the ways to kill it. Just make sure that those who are caught, found culpable, are arrested and face, the full length of the law. Well, thanks for that, Orji. Unfortunately, this is where we draw this conversation to a close. But a quick look at the messages before we wrap up. Jerry sent in this one on WhatsApp. It says, under 3 years and under 20 year and under 3 years and under 20-year-old girls have given birth to 2 children. So may God show up for her. That's for Leah Sharp. Thank you for that. Olatunde from Monique says, every day why do our so-called legislators keep promoting religious animosity, hatred, and separation? Why should a bill to regulate, or while a bill to regulate market price, good living, free health, and education are left untouched and unsponsored, but very fast to promote and pass bills for hijabs and things like that? Yinka says, when the Lagos State government is ready to fix Apapa truck menace, they will move all the trucks out of Lagos. Let's build a massive park along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway linking to Djibouti access. They call them up in 10. Simple. Thank you, Yinka, for that personalized ultimate solution. Henry says, hi, guys. Thank you. All right, thanks for that observation. And thank you to everyone who joined us live on YouTube. We stream all the segments live on YouTube now, so you can always subscribe to our channel at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Special thanks to our analyst, Orji Uka, and Uade. Uade is at Ring Nigeria. Orji is at Orji Uka. Have a lovely day, guys.